So I'll straight away get to it. The problem we are targeting in this work is brought about by this rapid rise in large-scale managed but still unlicensed band networks, mainly Wi-Fi networks, but also white space networks, which will be deployed in the very near future. And the characteristic of this new kind of deployment that's coming up by all the telcos, all the cable companies, and even third-party services like Boingo and other things, is that they're managed, and that's a distinguishing factor between earlier Wi-Fi networks and this new set of Wi-Fi networks. But what also happens due to this is that now we are seeing a lot of overlapping deployments and overlapping in time, frequency, and space. For example, this is just a small area in Brooklyn, New York, where these are the locations of two Wi-Fi deployments, one from Optimum, another from Xfinity. And part of the problem with these overlapping networks is you cannot provision your access points based on some assumptions about the presence or absence of other networks. For example, one of these APs has 0 Xfinity APs, while the other one has 5 foreign APs in its carrier sense range. So the capacity or the throughput that the clients will be getting is somewhat dependent on things that are outside of your own control. Even though they are managed, there is a wireless controller behind these networks. So the question we are trying to answer in this particular project are twofold. One is, can these networks interact with each other in a aggregate manner, not so much in the sense of cooperative communication, sharing the signals, but in a much more aggregate network level. And then how can we do this kind of a cooperation in a practically realizable manner? So these are the things we'll address. But before we go into that, let's define what we mean by this aggregate inter-network cooperation. And by this we mean essentially interaction between different managed networks over the backend, wired backend, for making more better use of the spectrum. In particular, let's say if we have two networks A and B, each of them have many wireless devices. The kind of interactions that we are talking about are of two types. One is information exchange about the spectrum usage, and this can be both about individual devices in their networks, or it could be aggregate radio maps that these two networks build and then share with each other. And the other kind of interaction we are talking about is algorithm and policy negotiation kind of interactions, where you can say things like network A sees that it's better that network B decide on the channel assignment of one of its APs. So that kind of interactions is what we have in mind in this inter-network cooperation topic. So we'll go through two set of problems. One is to find out potential gains from this kind of cooperation, and for that we'll look at a specific problem, that of client association optimization. We'll look at the optimization problem and its solution and some simulation results. And on the second aspect, we'll look at how to realize this kind of cooperation using a new SDN inspired approach. So that's the two topics we'll cover. So going into the first thing now. So the problem here for the client AP association one is, let's say there's a client C1 and there are 3 APs in range with different bandwidths that are possible due to the distances. Now if the client is left to choose which AP to join, the default rule is join the closest AP, which should give you the highest rate. But the problem is there might be other clients associated to that AP. So, and if you assume a downlink, let's say both clients are always demanding data, then the actual bandwidth that this client C1 will get is 27, the half of what it thought it is getting. Now, if we have a centrally managed wireless LAN controller, then it can see that this is happening, and it can assign it to AP2 instead, because there's no other clients associated with AP2, and now it's getting 48 Mbps, much better than 27. But the problem we are targeting here is, what if there is a foreign AP client pair right next to your AP? And for the sake of this simplistic argument, they are on the same channel, and it's such that the amount of time that each one gets is divided because of CSMA. So in that case, the actual bandwidth that the client gets is just 24 Mbps. So for this, if the two networks interact with each other, if the red network knew where the APs of the blue networks are, it can do this association optimization in a better way. That's a very simplistic overview of what can be done with inter-network cooperation here, and the idea is to explore the inefficiencies of intra-network optimization problems due to the effect of presence of foreign APs. So that's the overall idea. So we did a detailed study of this phenomena for this particular problem. We compared essentially these three things: least distance, intra-network, and inter-network optimizations. The system model consists of n independent networks indexed by I. The set of access points in each networks are AI, and the set of clients are UI. Some more notations: Xi, the X are the binary state, whether a client is associated with AP or not, and P and R are the fraction of time and the rate that a client gets from an AP. So if you look at the simple formation of the optimization problem for intra-network and cooperative, they look like this. So this is the utility function we are considering. Inside this bracket is the rate of each client, and the objective now then is to maximize the overall utility of the whole network. This is within a network. Now, if you look at it from a cooperative point of view, the inside notation still looks the same, but you're trying to optimize over all the networks, all the Wi-Fi networks, and of course the fraction of time that you get is now dependent on these external terms, which denote how many other APs or foreign networks are present. And this is where inter-network cooperation comes into the picture. You get this information about other networks through these back-end wired links. And essentially both these problems from a theoretical point of view are simple nonlinear integer programs. There are well-known approximate solutions which get you a result in polynomial time. And for the cooperative case, actually the problem decomposes into individual problems that each network can solve on its own. So all it needs is some info from the other networks about where and on what channel are the APs, and then it can go and solve its own problem individually. And we simulate that using MATLAB, use 2 to 6 overlapping networks. Each network has between 15 to 35 APs and between 50 to 250 clients. So it's a dense simulation, and two types of deployments of the APs. I'll go through that. And some assumptions, simplifying assumptions here: downlink only traffic, full buffer, and there are no priorities between clients of any kind. So this is what the deployment looks like. It's a 500 by 500 meters area. There are two networks in this example, red and blue. These are the clients in the AP's locations. Note that we use a minimum separation of 50 meters between APs of the same network, because that's if it's a planned deployment, you wouldn't expect it to be deployed very close to each other, but between two competing networks or two independent networks, they might be right next to each other as well. So these are uniformly randomly deployed in this setting. This is the CDF of the client throughput that we get for both the networks combined. The blue line corresponds to the client association policy of least distance joining, whereas the red line is what our cooperative optimization gives us. Now, we see that on a median case, this doesn't buy us a lot, but for the clients which had very less throughput to begin with, there is a huge improvement in that. So essentially, the cell edge users gain a lot out of this kind of optimization, and that is a recurring theme in all the cellular standard meetings of late. The inside the core of the network has good performance, but the clients which are at the edge, they suffer and they bring down the overall performance of the network as a whole. So this is one solution that addresses that problem to some extent. The other deployment we tried was this clustered deployment, in which one of the network, the APs of one of the networks were clustered in a 200 by 200 meter area. So what happens then is network 1 APs were clustered. So the effect of network 2 APs on this cluster is less, because the people who affect you are inside your own network itself. So the gains in that case is less. But if you look at the performance of the clients of network 2, then since all the network 1 APs as a cluster form a strong interference for network 2 clients, we see a large gain in this cell edge users, up to 7x in some cases. So this is sort of the benefits of using information from lose information from other networks while you are trying to optimize your own network. So this is just one specific example. There's tons of literature actually how to use this kind of information for channel assignments, for even rate assignments, and so on. But we haven't seen any practical deployment. So a part of the problem there is realizing this. How do we actually build a framework in which you can use the messages from a different network in your own network optimization? So we try to address that question as well. The first step towards that is actually realizing that it requires more than just IP communication link between the networks. You need to include this information inside your whole control plane system design, and that is what is lacking somewhat in the current commercial deployments, we feel. For example, let's look at this typical architecture of a wireless LAN control plane or commercial application. There we have one central controller which controls all the APs. This southbound API is somewhat standardized. Some companies use this CAPAP interface, other companies use their own, but more importantly, this what happens inside the controller is completely closed and monolithic. If a network operator wants to add a certain function, it's not easy to do that without the support of the vendor manufacturer. So that's part of the reason why things like inter-network cooperation cannot easily be incorporated in the design. And the main three problem areas are: it's closed and it's inflexible in the way messages go, and more importantly, it's isolated. They are designed to be the end node of all control plane activities. There's no way of having inputs from other outside network entities. So in recognition of this, what we thought could be better is somewhat SDN inspired approach, in which we have what we call control plane applications which run over open network operating system which has wireless abstractions. So now there are two kinds of applications. One are the standard data plane applications, which the SDN world and in particular OpenFlow talks a lot about. And OpenFlow describes a lot of match action rules that you can insert to switches. What we talk about is a new framework called control switch, in which you can flexibly switch where your control messages are going to. It can go not only to your controller but also neighboring controllers, and you can also distribute it between the APs themselves. So that's our idea of opening up, first of all opening up the control plane, and then using some standardized APIs to have more flexibility in the control plane of wireless networks. I'll go through one specific thing in the interest of time, which we call control switch. It's still a work in progress to a large extent, but the main idea is that we interpret the wireless control messages as flows instead of being get and set commands. And it is the case in a lot of situations. For example, in channel assignment, where you constantly need to monitor the before you can assign it. So we have a control, we instantiate a control switch inside each AP, and the controller just inserts flow rules, as in it programs which kind of messages should go to which port. And you can say that certain kind of messages can go to your neighboring controller, certain messages can directly go to other APs, and so on. And this can be directly forwarded from one AP to multiple control destinations, and all this is happening in the control plane, not the data plane. Some simple examples. So for inter-network cooperation that we were talking about, the way that one way that can happen is that there is an agreement between two networks on the type of coordination they want to do, whether they just want to share info or they want each controller to be capable of taking care of other APs or not. And then the controller of this network just programs its APs to allow certain messages to pass through from the other controller. So what it sends down is allow messages of type monitoring of parameter channel from this IP, and all other control messages still go to the main controller, just a certain type of messages go to the other controller. So that's one application, and there's many other ways of doing this. This is a simple implementation aspect that we found we can do this kind of thing. We can do a lot of other things with this in a simple manner. We can offload certain control plane functions to third-party applications which can be residing in the cloud somewhere. For example, authentication. So you just program it that all authentication messages should go to the cloud, other messages just keep forwarding to me. And more interestingly, you can also do a automatic failover between centralized control and distributed control by programming these rules with different priorities. So if the central controller fails, then the messages automatically go to the neighboring APs. So these are the kind of things, and we are in the process of implementing them over OpenFlow controllers that we have in WinLab. One snapshot of a recent result, this is this kind of a failover between central control and distributed control, in which we use channel assignment as an example, and the switches between, so there are two sets of rules, and the central controller goes down, the local controller takes over and still manages to assign channels which are almost as good performing as the central control does. Of course, it's a very small topology, currently working on real topologies which would emphasize the performance benefits to a much more extent. And we are further working on this idea on a lot of different angles. We have defined a controller-to-controller API as an extension to the OpenFlow work. And a key challenge here and something we are working on is to look at how do we define this aggregated radio map that two networks can share between them. And it's a very old open-ended problem. It's inherently hard to define a radio environment, but our first set of work sorts tries to do this with these fields, not So these are the general frequency, time, physical characteristics that each network can describe about its elements, but also about the adaptation logic. What will I do if you change something? This is the way I will adapt. So if each network has this idea, then they can adapt accordingly. So that's pretty much it. In conclusion, the kinds of work we are working on, problems we are working on suggest that there is a problem of interference management in overlapping unlicensed band networks, and simple cooperative schemes can result in large gains in terms of spectrum utilization. And this new framework of SDN based approach looks quite promising, and it's something we are currently actively working on.